Hi, folks, and welcome to Go-to-Market Hackers, a show where we go inside the minds of revenue architects creating systems that deliver winning outcomes. My name is Charles, and I'm your host. I'm a SaaS founder with over 10 years of experience building and scaling go-to-market teams. And what gets me really excited, especially these days, is understanding how the best GTM teams are using AI to generate GTM alpha. And so this podcast is about interviewing revenue architects and figuring out what they're doing to be able to create outstanding growth. Today's guest is my friend Christian Lim, who's the founder of Youno, a GTM agency working with B2B SaaS startups and helping them automate their GTM with AI. Christian, it's great to have you on the pod. Thanks again for joining. Maybe as a starting point, you can share a little bit about yourself, your background. How did you get into, hacking GTM and helping startups grow efficiently? And then we can dive into some of the cool things that you've been building.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Charles, for the invitation. My name is Christian. I'm the co-founder of Youno. We are an agency. We built go-to-market systems for B2B companies, mainly CRM architectures, outbound systems, signal-based, and with automation layers. And about my background, I came from the agency world. I work for a company called Germinal. It was mainly a growth hacking agency. Then I work in a different startup called Sunday and Clone. So I've seen a lot of companies scale so fast, but mainly with a lot of chaos. That's what brings me to create Youno, because I understand that without any structures, it's really hard to scale a company.
Right. So basically, in your experience through these startups, by supporting them, you saw a lot of chaos. And then with this chaos, you realize that it's very hard to scale without systems, without automation, without structure. And so basically, that's what you're focused on at Youno. You're basically building these scalable systems, adding the structure to help these companies scale. Maybe that's a good place to start also. I always like to understand, what's your philosophy for GTM? Where do you start? What's your focus? And what do you think is essential? So obviously, like, structure is important and processes are important. Can you elaborate on that? I think, folks would love to understand kind of how your mind thinks about go-to-market as you scale.
Yes, to me, when I began with like all kind of GTM infrastructure, like a lot of people are building like the structure with a lot of tools. Like they're stacking one tools, a second tools, a third tool, etc., etc. Now I think that the most easiest path is just to find like some tools, like 3, 4, 5, that you can connect together to create those systems. You don't need to have like 10 tools, 11 tools, or 20 tools, because when you are leaving the company, like everything stays behind you and you have nothing. Like the guy that taking your job when you're leaving, it's really hard for him to understand everything and to take part of the thing that you are building. That's why to me, the more easier is it, the better is it for me. And this is to me the main problem that companies are facing. And that's why there is always like a lot of like dirty things inside the CRM or the GTM structures that companies are building at the moment.
So basically, if I summarize, it's interesting that you start with tools. So what you're saying is,
Yes.
startups, and I've been guilty of this too, like as VP sales, I've, bought a lot of tools because it's shiny and it's cool, and your head of BDR says he wants this, or maybe a head of marketing wants something else. And so you end up having this huge array of different tools. You're saying part of the philosophy is maybe narrowing down the tools, simplifying maybe the processes around those tools.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're saying that in the context of, existing processes, but also looking forward to be able to streamline and maintain these as you kind of continue to scale, and if people leave and those type of things. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's very accurate, because like people don't think about how to maintain like the systems, how you can also like have learnings about the systems to give like your team to maintain the system. And moreover, a lot of people are making the mistake of taking tools that don't have any API. Today, you really need to have tools that can connect together to create a really great systems with the information that can flow everywhere. This is the main point. Because if you have like a CRM, for example, without any API, you cannot build a very great systems that are clean.
Sure.
Because the information cannot flow everywhere. This is also the main point. And I think like a lot of people are making this mistake.
Okay, so API first, I think that makes sense.
Yes.
But let me ask you this. What if somebody, I feel like more and more you can work with a lot of different APIs, and then it can still become messy.
Yeah.
And also there are folks that are basically creating these custom pipelines. Like, is that something that you also get worried about? Because again, if you have these custom pipelines where this one guy built this specific system without proper documentation, et cetera, it's hard to maintain. So basically, like, you're in favor like of established tools that are API first, that are kind of probably better documented so you can maintain them better. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's very accurate, and you just say like a very interesting point also about the documentation. Just forget about it.
Right.
Before, it was really painful to write the documentation. Nowadays, it's really easy with all the AI tools that we have. Like, for example, we can use like ClickUp. It's a French tool that allows you to record that everything that you say, you have the transcript, and then you can make a really easy documentation. And the documentation, it's to me like really important today, because if you don't give the information to your team how to use the process, how to create it, it's really hard to maintain it. And after I create a process, my team create another process, sometimes like you can work on the same process in the same time, you lose time, and moreover you lose focus. And this is also really important to really understand like all the process that you create and you want to maintain, so your team can really like work easily.
That makes sense. So aside from, I guess, picking too many tools and maybe picking tools that are not the right tools, what are some other mistakes that you've seen founders make on the go-to-market side when it comes to, implementing best practices with AI? What are some, I guess, key mistakes you've seen happen? And I guess you've worked with a lot of startups, so it's interesting to get your perspective.
I've seen two big mistakes. The first big mistake is about the people. You need to involve all the teams, like sales teams, marketing teams, ops team together to work in the same goal. For example, in my last company named Brun, we didn't find a good way to involve the sales team. We bring them leads, but they did whatever they like, to be honest. Like, they don't follow the process. They have like a short-term process while we have a long-term process. We don't have the same goal. So this is the first mistake to me that I made, to be honest.
Right.
And the second mistake is to mainly focus on acquisition and not on the CRM architecture. When you have a company with 5 years of history, like your CRM, it's a gold. It's a real like important. It's when I say gold, like I mean you have a lot of information that are not true at the moment, that are not clean. But if you work on it, it can be really easy for your team to make some deals with it. And this is the main point. Like, I've seen like a lot of founders, like they want to go fast. They hire sales team. They tell them, okay, you need to call people, you need to make acquisition, but they don't look at the CRM, and they don't like put main effort, mainly like employees, so sales team on the CRM. And this is to me like the two big mistakes that I've seen on the company that I work.
Got it. So if I repeat what you said, the first one is alignment between the teams. And you gave the example of alignment between marketing and sales. So that makes sense. And I've seen that also play out many times. And then the second is kind of data, which is your CRM, making sure that your data is in order, making sure that your CRM is clean and organized, and that sounds like you're leveraging it to the most of its ability, because your CRM could be a gold mine. But a lot of people, I guess, you find that a lot of people misuse their CRMs, and they could be leveraging it a lot better.
Yes, sometimes there's like a lot of duplicate informations, like duplicate properties, name, first name, companies. I think you've seen it, like in all companies. To be honest, it's like that. Like nobody talk about it on a podcast, but it's always really messy, to be honest.
Right, and it's typically unsexy, right? So is that where you start? Is that typically the place you start when you're helping startups? You're figuring out how their CRM is structured, and the kind of the first building block is cleaning, enriching, automating, deduplicating, just doing a lot of kind of housekeeping in the CRM?
Yes, this is the first thing that we did on all our mission. Because when you've done this kind of things, this is the first part. We directly have like good results with the SDR or sales team. I mean, they don't lose time like to find information, find people, find who do they want to call. They can save a lot of time and so close more deals. And this is the result that we saw with all our customers. That's why we begin with this, because without really good foundations, you cannot have a really good go-to-market systems. And this is like basically this is the first things to do.
Makes sense. Cool. So should we dive into some of these workflow? You talked about Cargo, which is a tool that I don't know well, so I'm excited to dive into that one.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to show us some of the stuff that you've built, and then you can break down the workflows for us?
Yeah, sure. So for example, this is the cargo interface. I like to compare it with Clay. Clay is more like for outbound subject, enrich people, find companies, etc. Cargo can do the same, but it's more a mix about like N8N. You can create workflow on it, and is more like RevOps oriented. It's more for RevOps, and Cargo is more for outbound, for example, if I just want to simplify it. For example, you can go on workflow companies. The first things to do is to create the deduplication. So everything starts on a spot. So it's for this one, it's a manual start at the beginning. We deduplicate all the companies that we find on the HubSpot of our customers. We set up first the ID. So mainly the ID is more like LinkedIn profile. We're always looking for an ID. So mainly the domain name, LinkedIn profile. We look for the record. We put a filter. We deduplicate like the status. And then if it's okay, we start the workflow. We retrieve like the new record. There is sometimes like a human review, but not always. If it's no, we set the deduplicate and we merge the record. So really important, we merge the record to find like the final deduplicate. And after we push on the HubSpot, the last result, and the main result is sometimes they have like 25% of the duplication that are working for our customers. After we can do the same workflow for people. So it's mainly the same, to be honest.
Right.
We're looking for first an ID. So mainly the ID is the LinkedIn profile on address mail. And then we put everything on the deduplicate. We put a prompt on OpenAI. We filter.
Yeah.
And then we merge the record.
Can I ask? So let's take the example of the prompt on ChatGPT. Like, what are you prompting there? Why do you need to even have ChatGPT at this stage?
Yes, we ask OpenAI. So this is in French.
In French, yeah, I see.
So this is a prompt. You are an expert on deduplication in CRM contact.
Yeah.
Your mission is to analyze the contact. You have a list, and you need to determine which are real doublons with these rules.
Okay.
So the rules are a contact is a real doublon if they have the same email,
or
if they
same
have the
LinkedIn
same
URL.
LinkedIn URL, if they have the same LinkedIn ID and the same mobile phone.
Right, got it.
And we put also some specific case. For example, if it's the same full name, it's also a deduplicate.
Yep.
If it's the same full name plus company is the same company ID, so each contact is associated to a company, it's also like a doublon.
Yep.
And after if so this is other rules. If it has the same name but it's not the same company ID, it's not a doublon, for example. So this is like a really like a long prompt to identify it's more like a second checking. We use
the second checking. It makes sense.
Checking,
so now I understand. So basically you're using these advanced prompts to basically check for duplicates using a bunch of different if then statements or if or statements around IDs, emails, phone numbers, etc. Makes a lot of sense. And this is helpful to just kind of go into the details. Super interesting. Got it. And so
This
so
is
this
what we
is
do.
this is your second workflow for deduplicating contacts. Earlier,
Yes.
you said that when you do this for companies, 25% of their use, I guess at first you were talking about companies. So 25% of the accounts are duplicates. Is that what you were saying?
Yes. This
Wow,
is
that's
what I'm saying.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
In
And
like on
is it roughly
it.
the same for contacts or maybe even more?
Yes, depending of the company, this is always the same, to be honest.
Wow, it's crazy.
Because like sometimes your sales are working on the same people, the same company. Sometimes the 1, 2, 3 years later, there's always a lot of they duplicate.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
it's never like less than 15%. I've never seen it, to be honest.
Got it.
And after what we've done, when we've done the deduplication, we do the enrichment.
Right.
So this is like this one is more longer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the beginning of the workflow. Everything starts with HubSpot. We check if the company name exists. If it exists, so we go to the step. If it doesn't exist, we find the company name.
Right.
After the company name, we are looking for the domain name. So if we find it, we check it. If we doesn't find it, like we are looking for we retrieve the domain name.
Right.
Then after we update the record, and after domain name, we are looking for the LinkedIn URL. So it's the same process. If we don't find it, we are looking for it. If we find it, we just check it. And then we enrich the company with the phone. Everything on LinkedIn. So we're looking for the phone. And then after we use like some OpenAI prompt to set the company size. So this is a prompt, for example, you are an agent on data classification. We are looking for the company size. You need to classify the company with one of these category. So 0 to 100, 100 to 200, etc., etc. And tell me if this company belongs to one of this size or not, and nothing else. So then we have an answer. Then we clean the company name. What does it mean cleaning? Is that we delete all the, like, I don't know what's in English, like the juridic things.
Jurisdictions and totally.
Yes, like limited, SAL, SAS. We clean everything. We clean sometimes like the geography, like things. But if it belongs to the brand, like American Express, we keep it. We clean the name. Sometimes you have the company name plus countries or city, for example. We delete like the special characters, like emoji or symbols. Like all stuff like that, we delete it just to keep the exact name. Like for example, this is a place we put McDonald's for OpenAI. We put like LinkedIn, PayPal, for example. If we have the numbers, we keep like for 3M, it's a French brand.
Yeah, for sure.
We try to normalize everything. This prompt is for this. We generate a description. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask. So for these different things, this is basically OpenAI doing its own research. Yes. For example, it's not going through. I mean, I guess OpenAI probably uses LinkedIn data as well because it scrapes literally everything, including LinkedIn. But you're not getting the data exclusively from LinkedIn. Like even in terms of company size and the number of employees, it's just figuring that out on its own. And it's like a black box. You don't necessarily know where it's getting that data from.
But I mean, we have the system prompt. We have the prompt here. We are all looking on the website and on LinkedIn.
Okay.
This is the two main like data point that we have.
Got it. Okay, so LinkedIn and the domain. Got it. That makes sense.
Yes, LinkedIn domain and we cross like the data between them.
Okay, got it. But you're not looking. You're not looking at other data like Zoom info or any other type of data, basically.
At the moment, no.
Okay.
Because LinkedIn, like in France, like this is like the main like the main database data. With the with the truth.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
And after it's the same process, we're looking for the sector.
Yep.
So to which sector which sector the company belong. So we're looking at that on LinkedIn. Oops. looking at LinkedIn, and we ask OpenAI to classify the company on one of these sector. Like it says architectures, like automobile, bank, etc., etc.
Makes sense.
There's a lot of things you can find: science, tourism, transportation, and we're just looking for this. Yes.
And by the way, are there specific, I guess, models for ChatGPT that you found are better? Like, are you just using O4 Mini? Are you using a specific model, or does it matter?
At the moment, we're using O4 Mini because we find that this is the best, like
Value for
quality
money.
price. Yes, value for money. Yes.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
to be honest,
exactly.
we already we have a story about it. Like we already one time launched with 5.1.
Yeah.
And it cost us like thousand euros for
yeah.
for enrichment. And I was like, because we like each I don't know if you already done it, but
Yeah.
when we use token OpenAI with API, and each 150 euros you have an invoice.
Yeah.
And I was like in front of my computer, and every 10 minutes, like I receive 150 euros invoice. I was like, where will it stop? I was like,
yeah. Okay,
so
makes
I
sense.
called Martin, my co-founders. I was like, should we stop, or should we let like the flow? Finally, we
Yeah.
let the flow, and we paid like a lot of monies.
Yeah, makes
But
sense.
now that's
Got
why
it.
we use for O Mini, because it's a more valuable
Yeah, makes
about the
sense. Makes
price.
sense. All right, and then I'm seeing here, what is this? Like, if Siret, is this specific French things maybe? Like I see if country France.
Yes, it's a French thing. So it's kind of like the ID of your company.
Got it.
Like it's a number.
Got
So
it.
we're looking for the side rate on the spot.
Got it.
If we don't find it, so we're looking for it.
Yeah.
So we use OpenAI or the other database. We set the silhouette on the spot, and then we categorize at the end the company on the tiering. For example, if it's gold, silver, bronze, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We categorize, like we find IC picture, and then we insert the record on the spot at the end. So this is a very long flow, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was clear, but
No,
it's
clear.
very
It
useful.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can see
Yes,
how this is very useful.
it's very useful one, because if you don't have like a good information on your CRM, your sales will work at 50% of the capacity, because they will lose a lot of time to find information, find the good contact, find the most valuable company to contact also. And that's why, to me, this is the first things like a company need to do if he want to scale.
Yep.
This is the first
I
part of
agree.
the scaling, to be honest.
I mean, especially if 25% of your contacts and accounts are duplicated, it's definitely going to be very messy.
And I have other something else to show. This is an AI that we create for sales team. Let's begin with the context. The main point is that all teams are on Slack, to be honest. Slack or Teams, or, I mean, the chat tools of the company. And we create this tool that is connected to Slack, and it allows sales team to talk in natural language on Slack, and to ask like the growth assistant / AI agent to find email of a company, of a people, to find the profile LinkedIn of a company, for example, of a people. He just need to ask enrich this email. He puts like you need to put enrich this email of this people, of this guy. You put the LinkedIn URL, and he look for information. For example, this one of our customer, he asked this information on Slack. So this is on Cargo. Can you give me the phone number and this address mail of this LinkedIn profile? And AI agent like give this answer. This is the information of this contact, name, blah blah blah. This is his phone number. So in French, this is address email.
So let me just take a step back. This is great. As a ex-IC sales guy, this is the type of thing that I would have loved. So my question is two things. I mean, presumably this is just being pulled from the CRM, meaning you're not enriching on the spot and then pushing it to the CRM. You are pulling the information from HubSpot or from where the data lives, right?
No, this this information, taking it from the flow that we create on cargo.
Okay,
So
but my point
it
is
can
this:
be
like, let's say there's two different types of scenarios. One scenario is you're the sales rep, and you stumble upon this cool, company that could be a prospect. It's in your ICP, and they're not. He looks in HubSpot. It's not in HubSpot, and he basically writes in natural language, "Hey, can I get the email and phone number of
yes,
this
yes,
person?" And it gives it to him, and then it in real time goes to fetch it, enrich it, etc. And then the other one is there's an inbound request, and he doesn't have, I don't know, the email for some reason, whatever. He can
yes.
ask for it, and it pulls. Is it both cases? Is it the first?
No, is it is
Like,
both case, to be honest? Yes,
got it.
it's
So it
both
can
case.
also
Like
enrich
when
on the spot.
yes, yes. If you're looking for information, you have a call with, I don't know, with a prospect, and you just forget to ask for his address mail, for example,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah.
receive like an inbound prospect, and you don't have his LinkedIn URL, for example, or his phone number because you just have
Yeah.
the email. You can ask like this AI agent on Slack
Amazing.
to look for this information, and you can ask on natural language, like you ask in English, in French.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
example, it's in French because it's a French company, but you can do it also in English. It's the same
Yeah, that
process.
makes sense. Amazing. And maybe can you talk about the impact of this? I mean, I'm sure the sales team loves it. Have you heard any feedback or and have you iterated on improving this, like, based on feedback?
Yes, the sales team, like they have two times more productive. For example, for this customer named Empowill, the sales team has two times more productive. The head of sales has a better forecast. We also like doing the mapping of the TAM, the total addressable market. So everything is in HubSpot. And now at the moment they don't have any duplicate. The enrichment is 50% like more efficient because sure we cannot like enrich
Sure.
all the companies. To be honest, it's impossible to have 100%
Of course. Of course.
of good results. But it's 50% more efficient, two times more productive, and the head of sales has a better forecast. He know like how many calls like his sales teams can get, how many leads do they have each week.
Yeah.
Now he can predict everything on his dashboard, and
Amazing.
this is the main result
So
that he has.
got it. So it makes sense. So what I'm hearing of what you did with this specific client is CRM a cleanup, where you're doing a lot
Yes,
of deduplication of both accounts, contacts, and you have this additional tool to help the sales team find the contact details, LinkedIn URL, email, etc., of a prospect that might be coming inbound, or that they're just, they might
yeah.
already have chatted with, or whatever the case, and didn't get that information. Very, very cool. I know there was another example you wanted to show, maybe on Dust, which again, I don't know, which is super cool. Do you want to maybe give context on that, and we can then dive into kind of how the tool works and what you've done there?
Yes, does so. It's a French tool. To be honest, I think you have the same in US, but I don't have the name. It's Dust. It's a tool that allow you to create a AI agent that are really easy to do. Like you just need to prompt it,
Okay.
and you have like your AI agent. You can also create it like on, for example, on Claude or ChatGPT.
Okay.
But this is mainly for the non-technical team, and thus
Okay.
had all integration with they have MCP integration with a lot of kind of tool which make it really easy to use,
Got it.
and that's why we share with some examples.
I think that also goes back to the conversation we had about maintenance of these tools and being able to essentially help these marketing, sales, go to market teams
Yes,
continue to leverage these tools even when you're gone. And it sounds like Dust is maybe less technical than using Claude Code or something like that.
yes, this is really less technical, and you just need like to click button and write some things to have some results.
Super cool.
For example, we do a lot of things for our customers, but one big part of our job, it's also about like how do we maintain a relation with them, how do
Hmm.
we talk with them, how do we tell them what did we do this week, and we create like an agent for all of our customers So we have one agent like that for all customers. So this is the template.
Okay. Just so I understand, what you're saying is you set up these agents for each client to do different tasks. Is that right? Okay.
Yes. For example, this is like the template. This is the instructions. So we tell him, so how does it work? This AI agent Dust is connected to a tool called ClickUp.
Mm-hmm.
ClickUp is a tool that allows us to manage all our customer, all the tasks. And it's also connected to Slack. Slack, I think everybody know what is Slack.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And we say to him, like, okay, you go on the workspace ClickUp, you go on the channel Slack, and each Friday at 12, you read all the data on ClickUp, you check all the status of the task. So for our customer, I don't know if I can go, maybe I can show you.
So, okay, now I understand. These are internal tools for you regarding these customers.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, this is an internal tool. We're going to ClickUp, and for example, for this customer, we made some task here. And each task that are validated, so he knows that which task is validated, and then he send a message on Slack directly, like, okay, this week we've done this, we cannot did this because we have this problem, etc., etc. And he sent an automatic message. Maybe I can show you, like this.
That's so freaking amazing.
For example, if we go on these customers, send this kind of message, for example. So this is in French. In French, if I translate in English, it said, what have been done this week? We done this. What will be done next week? This.
Amazing.
And then we copy paste, we change everything, because this one is a channel that we have internally between us. We change the message and we copy paste it on the channel that we share with the customers. And this is what we've done. We have the same agent for all call that we have with our customers. We made a report directly on ClickUp automatically. For example, it's the same process. And I think like a lot of people can begin like the AI project with this kind of things, because a lot of people are losing time on reporting about the calls, what have been on the meeting notes, for example, what you've done this week, what is your project for next week. We are all losing a lot of time on this, on reporting. And if we are not losing time on this, it's just that we don't do it. That's all.
Yeah, it's great. This is great. I mean, it's funny. I was chatting with a friend who has a startup and who was saying that one of the things he hates to do is to write the kind of, I don't know if it's weekly or bi-monthly kind of investor update on like, hey, here are the things that I worked on. And he said that now, same thing. He basically automates those investor updates with an agent that basically looks at everything he's done and then immediately just generates that whole update email with specific asks, etc. He reviews it and then he just sends it. So you're right. It's really painful to do. And having to just review it, make a couple edits and hit send just changes everything. So that's a very cool example.
Yes, but if you want to do this, you need to have a very like a clear system on ClickUp, or I don't know, like another tool where you manage your project. You need to write what you've done, which date, the status also. It's really important to be really clear about it, because it cannot work with this.
Makes sense. The one that you showed here was an internal one that you use for managing these clients. And then, but you said the output is also shared with the client. So it has dual purpose, both internal and external with the client.
Yes. But the main purpose, it's about what did we do with our customer like this last week, because people pay for it. Yeah. So even if you are working, if you don't tell them that you are doing things, like he cannot report it to his manager. So that's what we've done. We've done this. And the other part that we are trying is not finished yet, but it's all about content creation. Like LinkedIn posts, all about the copywriting of the post, but also about the image. But it's not finished yet. That's why I cannot show it. But we're trying to automate this. At the moment, this is one of our projects. And then the next step, I think, is to implement it for all of our team, because the moment is Kayo, one of our co-founder. He's doing this, and after he needs to share with us, but he's not done yet.
That makes sense. But I think there's one other part that I didn't understand. You said that you love Dust because it's easy to use and it's not too technical. Are your customers also in Dust, or is it mostly you that's in Dust and that's generating these agents for the customer?
No, it's only us. We are generating this customer for us, but they don't need to have an account if it's the question. We only have one account, and we put all our customer inside, and we keep it for us.
That makes sense.
Like our customer don't need to have it, but we have like now, for example, one mission with one customer where we implemented Dust, but it's not like a commune, to be honest.
That makes sense. The point. Maybe parting words you can share with founders, because you've worked with so many startups and so many founders. What advice do you have for founders that are looking to inject AI into their go-to-market?
I think I have 2 points. The first thing that I've said, like at the beginning of the call, it's how to involve your team. If your team don't want to be on it, it can be hard. So trying to involve people.
Yeah.
And the second point is it's really hard for your team to use AI, you need to work with companies that are using AI who can help you to implement AI in your company. But first, you need to have one champion. I think this is the most important part. We need to have one champion on the team that will implement like the solution with like another company, like me, for example, or other teams.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you need to use tools that are easy to use for your teams.
So if I summarize, first of all, it's making sure that the team has the right mindset and that it's communicated more broadly across the team so that people are on board with using AI. And number 2 is, if you do have gaps within your company to implement AI, have at least one champion internally, and then partner with other folks like you that can help inject and accelerate the adoption of AI. And then in that process, you want to make sure that you don't over complexify. Maybe you take baby steps, you use tools that are not the most technical to adopt, but the easier ones to adopt, where you can see quick gains and where you're actually going to see the team using it versus having super complex tools and workflows where nobody's going to use it because it's just too hard to implement.
Yes, a very good point that you said.
No, it's great. And it does echo what you said at the beginning, so it all makes sense.
Yes. And if I want to add something to my advice, AI won't be magical. Like a lot of founders, so AI like magic things, like you have like Harry Potter, you boom some things and everything will be right. First, you need to have also very good foundation. This is also what we've done with the CRM, for example. If you have a dirty CRM but you add AI on it, like without like any foundations or any structures, it won't work. So you need to look first on the structures, the functions, and then add AI.
So basically, even though you have glasses that look a little bit like Harry Potter, you're not Harry Potter. You don't. You're not a magician. Okay, but you're close. Yes. You're very close.
Very close. Maybe later we talk about it later, but not now.
Yeah, exactly. Christian, this has been great. Where can people find you? Should they be looking on LinkedIn? I know that you just launched your new website. Are there other places people should find you to connect with you?
Share LinkedIn, or you can give my address mail also.
Okay.
Christian.lim at youno.fr.
Perfect. We'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
But this has been really, really great. And I'm glad we dived into these 2 new tools that I hadn't heard of and that I hadn't really discovered. So it's really cool to see how you've executed some of these campaigns and workflows inside those tools. So thanks for sharing.
Yes.
And again, we're really glad you came on board, and we'll be in touch. Maybe we'll invite you for a future show where you'll show us some new cool French tools in the future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for your invitation, Charles.
Thank you, Christian.